Okay, inner alchemy is, well, everybody knows what alchemy means, which is not just transformations, it's structural change, an inner structural change, like the atomic structure from traditionally, lead into gold, let's say. One extra atom makes a gold molecule, electron, sorry. And the inner refers to that inner power point. Now here's where it refers to your public and to mine, to everyone, is where is the point of power that can actually induce change, transformation. And that is inside the individual. It's not a technique. It's not something that you can calculate and work out and program for. You can program for it, but you need to tap into this inner space. This is the fascination of meditation. Only many people have not made the link between meditation and the practical world, which is where you come from. Now, how do you link that? Meditation isn't just a space out. It is a place of linking into your inner source of power, the one that manifests things ad hoc, crazily, because we're not in touch with how it works. So this is where I started teaching, okay, the dynamic of the mind, the dynamic of the emotional body, how emotions work and how you can transform them, use them to your advantage, because you need an emotion in order to create an impact. But you need to come from a place that is managing your own self, and not just as a technique. It's not a linear process. And this is the important and perhaps the most difficult part to describe, this inner alchemy, the inner part. Because it is not something I can explain, I'm trying to in words, but it's an experience, which is why we have a university now, or a school, sorry. University before, school now. It's the inner place that you touch when you are in total silence and aware. Now, everybody touches on that point. I don't need to give any preambles or only speak to meditators. It's a space which is natural. It is actually more natural than our personality. Kids touch on that space. It's a space of nothingness and total awareness. And in that place, there is a kind of a power. You tap into that, and if you can sustain that in a healthy body, in a controlled, and not in the sense of control, in a conscious, emotional structure, you can't do it coldly either, into a mind that is flexible and doesn't always have to have reasons that can change, the jogo de cintura, that can change, flexible from one thing to another. And that point of power is where you can actually transform the world. And I did teach I did have a course in Brazil for businessmen and women, where I spoke about how you choose personnel and how this can actually affect the workings of whatever you're selling, it doesn't matter, by having this knowledge of it's got to come from the top down. It can't come from the down up. How you can actually harness this power and apply it. And that's the inner part. Alchemy happens from the inside, and then you transform. And this is the other part, this is the alchemy part. I spoke about the molecular change from lead into gold. Now, the molecular change happens in your own body. And the human body is composed of dense matter and a light center, okay, which is usually invisible. The proportion of light inside an individual grows with more awareness, with more practice of meditation, whatever that might be, whichever kind of meditation, and it becomes more homogeneous in the whole body, and it affects your emotional system and allows you to think in wider dimensions. So the inner is the self, capital S, and the alchemy is matter, the world around us. Everybody knows what being conscious is. Okay? Being conscious is almost like synonymous to being aware. I know what's happening, so I'm conscious and I'm in control of at least some things in my mind. Consciousness is the subjacent, it's the backdrop of intelligence. Intelligence can work in many, many different levels. We have the intuitive intelligence, and we have all the aspects of mind, from the linear, logical, concrete mind, to the abstract, mathematical mind, to the intuitive mind, the holistic mind, these things we tap into when we're sleeping, sometimes in dreams, these images, these impacts that we have at a rising sun, at the dawn, in the desert, all these experiences that we have when we're looking at a work of art, something that really reaches us. We tap into this space of, in French it's éblouissement, of like an explosion inside you of knowing and light. That is consciousness, which relates to that still point of power I was referring to before. So consciousness is that which empowers intelligence, and it is something that comes with the equipment of spirit. So people need to tap into what their spirit self is. Now this is very, very different. I hope you can make a difference in this when you write it. Because spiritual, what people call spiritual these days, is just about anything. You practice yoga, you're spiritual. You don't eat meat, you're spiritual. I mean, ridiculous. Spirit is when you tap into and you live this, you bring this into your daily life. Then you start to become, because you can't do it overnight. When you start living this state of grace, this state of joy.
Yep.
It's like ecstasy. It's like the most beautiful experience you had when you took your child, your baby in your arms for the first time, that you have with your dog that you've had since you were, a lad, and you're now, it's there and it's always there and you love it. That bottom line of love, not because, there's no reason. You just love, and you are this. Again, this is a word that has become so trite, love. It's a state of grace, it's a state of being. Nothing causes it, it is within you, and you bring it to life in relation to the world. At least for me, that's what love has come to mean, and it is a state, a vibrational state, which I think is the next question you had for me. So consciousness is this state of intelligence, you could call it higher intelligence, that doesn't function in a straight line, that functions through experience. And everything is composed of consciousness, because everything is seen and perceived through you. So you are the center of the atom. You are the center of the hurricane, the cyclone, sorry. So you become aware of how everything around you is consciousness, is composed of consciousness. We give form to it through our thoughts, through our intention, through our emotions, through our selection. The training that we give here for people, and as you know, it's very varied. We can go back and forth and come back to the subject of consciousness and vibration in a moment. But the training that we facilitate here for people, it's for leaders in the world. And this is why it takes 3 years, because I go into just how these energies work in the human being in a pragmatic way, so that then they can, it's like turning their head around. I keep telling them, are you sure you know what you're getting into? And we have some top-notch people here from all professions and parts of the world who are beginning in a couple of weeks. Because it is like turning your head around. What you think you perceive isn't what is really there. Is what you want there to be. This is what science has been telling us, the change or the phenomenon is in the eye of the observer, not in what is being observed. So our idea really is to transform this power of consciousness within each one, which is also, it is one and it is not one, it is different. It will express itself differently through each person, so there's a uniqueness to each individual human being, which also must be brought out, understood, and brought forth. We're not the same. Nobody's the same. Got the same ingredients,